This is ADU, Adamas Resources, and I might just start with a pitchfork going from low to the high to the low, and that gives us a nice median line with price returning to the median. So we can see it's been in a nice little uptrending uptrend here for a while now. It's stopped a bit short of these previous highs here where it's come off a bit, and we'll just have a look and see what's going up closer up. Okay, volume wise, what have we got? We've got all this volume here in this bar, and this is a fairly bullish bar because its price is closed on the high, then it's gone up before being sold off. And it looks like there's been a little bit of a double top there, and that's sort of played out. It's not a it hasn't played out completely, but then the volume's all wrong on it. When you're looking at these double tops, you're generally wanting price to be going up on lower volume and down on more volume, and that's the other way around. But anyway, it's sort of played out, so I probably wouldn't worry too much about those at the moment. What I'm looking at is this bullish bar right here with all this volume. That's a lot of buying in that bar, so that's telling me what the what I'm looking at is what the professional end of the market was doing last, and in a big way. And I'll just mark up the top and the bottom of that bar, and so it's gone above, it's been sold into a little bit and come back down, and it's come back down testing for supply in this high volume bar again. And what we find is all these, it's come down into it and dropped below, but it's on very low volume. We've had this bit of volume in this down bar here, but then as the bars have gone down, they've gone down pretty quick, but on very low volume. So it looks like some testing there, and then after this down bar here, price kicked up, so that tells us that perhaps price is being supported down above this bar. And then it's that's a nice little test bar there. It's low volume. It's not the lowest in 3 days, but it's fairly low and closing on its high. I'd count that as a test bar. When you're looking for a confirmation bar, on a bit higher volume, we do sort of get one, but the spread's too narrow, so it's not really ready to come off yet. But look, I'd be looking at the bottom of this bar here at 67 cents as your low risk buying, and I think it probably will come back and test that 67 cents. So that probably wouldn't be good enough for me to buy at the 70. But if I was bullish on the fundamentals and looking for an entry, all that would probably be good enough for me to put my order in at the 67 cents. That's your low risk, and then your resistance, of course, is the top of that bar, and then the median line up here. Well, there's an 80% chance that eventually it'll hit that median line, because this pitchfork has been in play for a while, and it's still in play, and the bottom tine of the pitchfork has held, so it'll eventually go up to that median line, I would think. Next one is BDI, Blina Minerals, and looks like we're trailing along the bottom here. So after it's been way up here, so what we can see, it's done a lot of time along the bottom here. So we'll just zero in to see what we can see. As you can see, it's picked up right up to 3.9 where it's been distributed, as it was further up here. But there's actually a lot more volume starting to kick into the share price at the moment, a lot more than before, and so that's it's got some eyes on it. So well, the highest volume bar, we've got two there. We've got the one which is our current one, and the one before that, which is this bar here, and there's what we can see, there's a lot of selling in this bar in the top, but but there's also a lot of buying in it, and then that buying continued. So the all that supply coming in from the left, which would have been from this area here, has been absorbed and taken up before being distributed in the top. So I would look at the close of that first bullish bar at 2.1 cents. There's where your smart money are bullish at, and when it's come down below that bar, it's been on very low volume. We've got this weak bar here, but it's actually full of hidden buying because price has gone up again to close on the 2.1 cents again. Now the current bar again, well, are they there's a lot of volume there. Are they trying to absorb all this volume up again, or is that being sold into the top? Well, it's definitely a lot of supply in the top because it's an area of distribution in the past. So really you can't really know. My way of looking at that, there's a lot of selling in that bar, and it would have to come back short term. You couldn't say, I mean, it could keep going like it did here, but to my way of thinking, that's very high risk buying at 2.7 there. Your low risk entry would have been this test bar here. The test bar is a bar closing on its high or very close to the high, and testing in a previous area of supply, and that's what you get there. Very low volume means there's the price there's very little selling, but there's demand for the stock at that price because it's closed on towards its high. But why haven't more people been buying? Well, because there's been very little people selling at that price. So that's a good test bar. You do have a confirmation bar, which is price closing higher on slightly more volume. You don't want too much volume. There's probably a little bit too much volume to my liking, but if you bought at 2.3 cents on the weekly, you would have been doing okay, short term at least. Probably the way to play these is when you get your test bar on the weekly, is then zero in on your daily to see if you can get a good entry. So we'll just go to the daily. And what have I marked off there? Oh, yeah, there's your high volume bar to the left there, and I think I've marked off the close of that, which is the 2.1 cents. And now that other bar, what day was that other bar? The test bar on the weekly was the 28th of March. So if we go to 28th of March on here, 28th of March, there we get our test bar, and we don't get a confirmation, but we do get very low volume testing. It goes down again further, and testing then quickly dips back up and tests again. Then we get a really nice test bar there, very low volume. Volume picks up a little bit, but still very low volume testing, and then suddenly we get a bar on bigger volume closing above our test here, and you could have bought safely on that confirmation bar at the 2 cents. So your 2 cents, 2 to 2.1 cents is your good buying, is your safe buying. 2.7 cents, well, maybe it is wanting to keep on going, but I mean that's very, very high risk because it's heavy selling in the top of that bar. That's a very weak bar. But but anyway, if you did buy, your 2.2 to 2.1 is your risk, and reward, well, who knows? We can probably argue that there's a bit of a channel happening there, maybe, probably all the way down here, and it's hit the top of a channel and rejected it, and when it's got above that channel, it's that was an area of distribution. So it does look like it has got a little bit of a uptrend there, but you've also got resistance there as well. So, but I'd be looking at the 2 to 2.1 as your safe entry on that one. Next is FWD, which is Fleetwood Corporation. I can see we've had a bit of a uptrend here, and we're breaking some new highs, so you could probably do a couple of things. Probably join those two up. So let's hit the top of the channel there. But maybe you might be better off doing something like, might try putting a little pitchfork on there. And that gives us a good median line as well. So I mean, you can't argue with that. That's trending up definitely. This looks a bit similar to the ADU chart, and I would be looking then, zeroing in then on the volume. We've got this high volume bar here, and it's a down bar, but it's closed well off its low. So there is a bit of buying coming in there, and then as it's come down further, but there's a lot of volume in this bottom here kicking up. So there is buying in the bottom here, it looks like, and I would be looking at, I'd probably be looking at the bottom of this high volume bar. Oh. And that's exactly where price is supported now. Or also this uptrending pitchfork is still in play because the bottom tine hasn't been broken. So what else can we see here? It's gone up. It's rolled over on low demand. It's gone up. It just couldn't sustain it. There wasn't enough demand, but there is buying under here. And as it gets down here, if we zoom in here, we can see we've got this long bar and volume coming down, but then you've got compressed closes, so there's buying in this area around here. So it's actually probably not a bad area to be start looking for an entry, I would imagine. Let's go to the weekly and just see if we can see anything clearer on there. Yeah, there's your hidden buying. Your hidden buying's in there. You're pretty much, I would, and then a lot of volume on the next bar as well, closing higher. So I would be pretty confident that you're actually at a very low risk area of buying at the moment. So if I connect these, no. I mean, it has broken out of this very narrow channel, but I would be inclined to think it's I would be inclined to be bullish on it, and that it might need a bit of consolidation, but I would pick that as a pretty good entry myself. We can also put a pitchfork again on the weekly. No, I think you're doing well. I think you're doing well if you start looking for your entries around this level, because it's looking okay. Maybe we can have a look at we'll have a look at see what the MACD and the stochastics are saying. We'll look at what the stochastics are trying to tell us. These are lagging indicators, so these are telling us what price has done. So we'll just look at what price. Look, it's still, they are going down, so it's a bit hard to they are going down. The stochastics with a bit to go, so maybe some consolidation is in order. Your MACD is still not looking that good either. So, but what I would be looking at myself is the actual volume on these areas, and because to me that's where the smart money have entered the stock, and it has supported there. So I would be cautiously bullish still, and what I'm probably looking for is for some low volume testing in this area, which is something you haven't got at the moment.